me, the Mighty Z Groom, with my co-host today, the lovable jackass that he is, Gilvis Presley. They can't see your face, Gil. But I'm sure when he's showing us Utz Carolina barbecue style barbecue chips. Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like after these 2 games in Carolina. Gil, my worst nightmare happened for these 2 games. I told you I didn't feel comfortable of us going in Carolina. I told you we haven't won in Carolina in almost 3 years. It feels like we just can't win in that building. And the worst happened to us in Game 4. I mean, we did not play a good game in the second period. We played well to start both games. But it's like after Carolina scored the first goal in both games, we kind of gave up. Especially the third game. The fourth game, we had a really good third period. We just had a bad breakup that starts with Ellers, whatever the fuck he did in that dump and chase. He dumps the puck and he takes like a little bit of effort. He just strides to the puck. He doesn't skate for it. And then the freaking Sandine incident where that's only the Capitals. The luck that we get, the fucking stick gets stuck into the boards. That's our luck, Gil. That's our fucking luck.
Yep.
So that's why I wanted. I couldn't play it before the recording, so because we were gonna get copyrighted. But I wanted to play a little Sound of Silence because "Hello Darkness, My Old Friend." This is what it feels like every time the Capitals go into the second round, outside of maybe 2018 and 1998, where the Capitals went to the Stanley Cup Finals in both of those seasons. Gil, there's really nothing hopeful to look at right now. This team seems like they're just getting outmatched everywhere we play. A lot of it feels like it's us. A lot of it also feels like it's fucking Carolina. I will say it here and then. Coach Spencer, love the guy, but he's been out-coached this series. And it's not even close. And it's due to inexperience. This is Spencer's first season. This is Spencer's first time coaching in the second round. So I will let things, play out. I'm not gonna scream, "Oh, he's not capable of coaching in the second round," because this is his only second season in the NHL head coaching. If this happens again next year is when I'll start to get a little concerned. But the Capitals are facing elimination, Gil. It is our fear that we felt. This is what I felt after Game 1. I thought we needed Game 1. We had to go into Carolina up 2-0, or we were going to be in deep trouble. It came to fruition. We are in deep trouble, Gil. We are 1 loss away from hitting the golf course. Does not feel good after such a great year we had, Gil. I thought we'd at least make it to the third round. And it's looking likely we're not going to be. We're going to be going golfing after potentially tomorrow. Gil, I honestly had some time to think about it. It sucks, but I won't be too mad if we lose tomorrow. I won't be too mad if we lose Saturday. I won't be too mad if we end up going to Game 7 and lose. This team is not ready. They're still old. They need to get younger. They need to get faster. We need to get better. But there's 5 guys on this roster that I want to bring up that I hope are nowhere near the team in the next 2 years. Gil, you probably already know 2 of them off the bat.
At least.
At least 2. And 2 of them are the main problems for this series. One of them is he's okay. He hasn't looked too bad for us. And then there's just the whole team at all. The team quitting on Spencer in games 3 and 4 really have rubbed me the wrong way. That's not how a championship team is going to look like if they want to win it all or go far in the playoffs. You don't give up on your team. And that's what the Capitals did in game 3 and 4. Especially after the first goal. They just looked like they gave up. They showed a little bit more fight in the third period in game 4, which gives me a little hope that we could potentially come back and win this series. I don't think this series is over yet. I don't think it ends Thursday. I don't think it ends tomorrow night. I think if it ends, it's going to end in Carolina. So, Gil,
yeah, most likely.
What are your 2 takeaways from games 3 and 4?
Lot of bit of not adjusting, a lot of bit of not, they knew what was coming and they didn't really change much. Well, no, they did. I, I don't get it. I don't get the good start in both games and then give up one goal and then that means we give up.
That's what
I don't get that.
I think Spencer's gonna. He needs to work on that a little bit. That's more of the coaching. Trying to you the best coaches are able to get the best out of their players even when they're down. Spencer's still learning. He will eventually get better than that. He will have the ability to coach his players and not lose them in situations like that
But they were nowhere near like that at all
all season.
during the regular
Yeah,
season.
and it feels like it could be. It honestly could be the Capitals come playoff time because this franchise has history of quitting when the going gets tough, which is why all you Capitals fans be happy we won a cup in 2018 because we may never win another cup in our lifetime because this team just no matter how good we are, no matter how young, no matter what the situation is, we just can't win come playoff time. And it's just it's the same. You can think of us as equivalent as to the I'm trying to think it's the Buffalo Bills of the NFL. The Bills, they play so well. They have so many good seasons, especially under the Josh Allen era. They always fail come playoff time. That's how the Capitals are. We're like that. Like one good season, like two good. I'd say 3 years out of the 50 seasons that they have existed. Only 3 times have they made it out of the second round, and 2 of those times they went to the final, and 1 of those times they won a cup. So I look at it as this. I'm happy that we have our cup in 2018. We can at least say, hey, we won a Stanley Cup, and we won it. The way we won it was awesome. It just sucks that we're probably not going to see another one for at least our lifetime. I'm hoping I'm wrong because this team's still young. This team's getting younger. We got some guys that have killer instincts coming up. But I'm going to get into the guys I don't want to be in this roster next year. And there's a guy that I hope doesn't be on the roster after next year because by then, one of the kids in Hershey should be ready. And that's John Carlson. John Carlson, if you listen, buddy, start looking for some houses in Florida, specifically near a bingo hall, because your old ass needs to be retired. I am done with the mistakes that he has made in this series. He made the same mistakes in Montreal. It almost cost us against the Canadiens. It's cost us against the Hurricanes, and it needs to end. I mean, we're not gonna get rid of him next season, but as sure as shit, we need to let him walk after next year. You move Roy up. You bring in Chesley in. You get Chesley ready. It'll take Chesley maybe 2 seasons to get to that top position, but that's all we have all the patience in the world right now because there's no way in hell we're winning a cup this year. There's no way in hell Ovi's winning it next year. We're not going to potentially be cup contenders until 2 years after this. But there's another thing that's happened that came out the line today that I've been screaming for a while because all that he has done. This is the next guy I want off the roster. All he has done is potentially ruin and delay Leonard's development, and that's Lars Eller. He can't fucking finish. Leonard's setting up these plays, and then Eller can't fucking finish. So, hold on. Something happened. Hold on. Okay. Thought the dog was getting into something. So, it's just, he needs to be gone. But they finally benched him. Fucking thank God. It's looking like he will not play game 5. McMichael is centering that third line. You're putting McMichael finally with Ryan Leonard. I've been crying for Leonard to be with McMichael for a while now. He needed to be on that second line with those guys. His talent, he's just too young, too fast, too talented to be playing with freaking Eller and Majapani and then bitching that he doesn't have results. He's playing with the 2 worst players on the team. What the hell do you expect him to do? He's trying. He's trying his hardest to get it going, but he can't when Eller's whiffing shots. Mazepani can't even catch the pass. Like, what is he supposed to do? But now he's got potentially McMichael, which McMichael can. Mazepani can feed off McMichael too. So it's not like Leonard's going to benefit from this. Mazepani will benefit from this. Gil, what are your thoughts?
Um, I was hoping that Spencer would come up with something that would be an answer. Um, it's a pity that he waited this fucking long to do so, but yeah, I like it. I like the change. Here's the thing. Um, you are probably still going to see upwards of 15, 16 minutes of Dowd, Duhame, and Radish.
I'm fine with that. That's one of our best
Well,
lines.
I'm not fine with that because they can't score. They do everything
No,
else right, but they can't score.
no, they can't.
And we
But
need goals.
and I'm gonna say it right now, and people are gonna give me shit for this. Ovi needs to be playing 10 minutes, 12 minutes a night. He does.
Amen. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but yes, he needs his time cut. It has to happen.
That's another thing I've been protesting is I think Protas should be on the top line. You move Ovi down to the third line. You move Leonard up. Have him
Fucking put Protus on the damn power play.
they're putting him on the power play now, aren't they?
They got him on PP2 if I looked at that right.
But like you put Protas, Strom, and Wilson together. Wilson's having the best series of his life. Um, him and Thompson are the only ones that look like they're performing. But I have a feeling we're gonna see the best game we have yet out of this series from the Capitals tomorrow night.
Well,
Uh,
it's either going to be the best game that they've played all year or it's going to be the absolute worst. I said this on Sports on the Hill the other night. Um, watch for what happens the first 10 minutes. I guarantee you, if they give up the first goal
it's over.
again
It's
within
over.
the first 10 minutes,
It's over.
yeah, turn off the TV because it game over. I guarantee
Uh,
you.
but
They will quit.
my prediction right now is I think the Capitals put out their best game, and then Game 6 is when Carolina gets pissed off and they blow us out and we lose like 6-0. Uh,
That might happen. Yeah.
but like I said, this series reminds me way too much of the Pittsburgh series in 2016, where the Capitals just could not win in PBG Arena. Uh, they struggled severely, and it cost them in the end when they almost won with Mike Richard hitting the post, and then a few seconds later the Penguins take it down and Nick Bonino scores in overtime to the Penguins to move on and eventually win the Stanley Cup. I don't think this is the same situation though. I think Carolina will move on, but I just don't think Carolina has the ability to move on to the Stanley Cup final. There's a reason why they haven't been to the final since. There's a reason why they haven't won a conference finals game, let alone been to the final since 2006. Rod Brindamore is a great coach. He just can't coach past the third line or the third round. Uh, I might be eating this because Carolina might legit go to the Stanley Cup final this year if Toronto and Florida continue to beat the shit out of each other. And this is probably arguably the healthiest Carolina team they have in a long time. Uh, but I just don't think the series is over yet. I think the Capitals have way too much in them to lose in five. But here's a suggestion: if the Capitals win tomorrow night and they find a way to win Game 6, I think Carolina's losing Game 7. I just don't think Carolina needs to win. They need to win Saturday. If they lose Thursday, they gotta win Saturday because they're not gonna be able to come back into DC in Game 7 and a rough crowd, a loud crowd that's ready to go. The Capitals will have all the momentum. So, but out of the three teams facing the 3-1 deficit, I think the Capitals have the best chance to come back because the Capitals have
Well,
not played their best game yet.
I think they do too, but if it goes to a game 7, that favors Carolina.
Why?
I really think it does.
Because of what, their youth?
Well, right. They got the legs. I think with the longer the game goes, yeah, they've got the younger legs. They got the stronger legs. Um, I just I don't know if the overtime if it's an overtime session where Caps come out and dominate the first 5 minutes and try to put it away, I think they can put it away. If it goes longer than 5 minutes, forget it. They're done. That's my prediction. If it even goes that far, which I don't think it will. I think the likely scenario is a win tomorrow night, and then they go back down to Raleigh, and they get killed again.
We just can't win in that building.
I don't think I love Spencer, but like you said, he needs to figure it out, and he hasn't figured it out, and he's got last line change, and that it's killing them.
Um, Now, will this be a losing season? I don't think so.
No,
At the beginning of the playoffs, I did say that because it felt like the Capitals had the best. This would be the best shot the Capitals to make it out of the second round. But losing Faravari has took a toll on this team. Uh,
yeah,
no offense to Alexiev.
more of a toll than they ever thought or anybody thought imaginable. I thought they'd be okay, but 2022 John Carlson had to show up again, and that's killed them.
Uh, and Alexiev's another guy I think will be gone. I don't want him coming back. I think the kid's great. He's awesome. It's just he's not a playoff guy. He looked great in the Montreal series. He looked great in the Montreal series.
Well, here's the thing about Alexeyev. I think wearing that stupid fishbowl
Does
is
affect him.
affecting him
Yeah.
more because you got to when you're a defenseman, you got to have the widest possible view of the ice. And wearing that stupid thing is limiting his vision, and it shows. Even with that, though, he hasn't played all that bad, I think. But he's if this is his last year, if this is his contract year, if I were him, I'd be looking for other opportunities because he's not going to get it here.
No, because not only will he not have much ice time because Lane Faravari will be back next year, but
Paravari will be back. I think Cole Hudson's got a year before, at a minimum, before he's ready. But when he is,
oh, he's not. He's coming right. He's coming right to the team.
I
Right.
doubt. Yeah, I doubt he spends more, if that, more than 1 or 2 games in Hershey.
Because he will play his sophomore year in Boston University, and I think that's all he's going to need. Because he looked amazing his freshman year. He just got to bulk up. He's got to bulk up, work on a little bit of his defensive side, which I don't think we really need him to work on his defensive side because we have. If you look at it, once Chesley comes up, Chesley will make that entire right side all defense. Defensive defenseman. And we have all the left side offensive defenseman outside of Faravari. So it's just going to be so hard for Alexiev because you have guys like Chesley coming up. You have freaking Cole Hudson on the horizon. Aurario will more likely see ice time next year because I do think TVR is done after this year. I know we have one more left year on his contract, but I think they move him in the offseason to make room to sign a third line center. Or
You know who else might be gone on that core?
who?
If things progress maybe a little bit quicker, Sandine.
Yeah, I was going to point him out too. Sandine, but I think Sandine is safe for at least next season. He is safe until next season, until Cole Hudson
Well,
comes over.
and now that you mention that, I think they might deal him at the deadline.
If they expect Cole Hudson to sign at the end of the season. Which
He's probably going to be a deadline deal.
and there's a lot of talk. The Capitals they might not be as good as they were this year, next year. They could easily be worse, and we could end up missing the playoffs next year. Which honestly, this year was probably the best time to make the playoffs because this year's draft is not that deep, so we're not that too bad. Like getting a late first round pick. Next year is the one I think that is going to be a deeper class, and which is why it scares me that Pittsburgh has 2 first round picks. Which I don't think if the Rangers decide to hold on to their first rounder this year, that means Pittsburgh will have 2 first round picks next year, and it gives them a double the chance to get Gavin McKenna, which again he looked amazing last night for. Uh, he looked the
What did he
reason.
have? Like a 90-game point scoring streak or something like that?
Yeah, and he also looked. He's carrying the freaking medicine hat. He's carrying the medicine hat. Tigers. Crystal's doing the same thing, but he is also on the horizon. There's a likelihood Crystal plays a season in Hershey and he's already up on the team. He just looks like a guy he's prone. He's ready for playoff. Yeah, they won 6-0 last night, so they play again tonight. I think. Yeah, they play again tonight. Don't need that. We'll get freaking.
I want Crystal to get the old Detroit treatment. I want him to overripe in Hershey, maybe put him there like most, if not all, the whole year there,
He'll be there the whole
and
season. He'll be there all
and
next
then
year.
year after next bring him up.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think he'll be there all season. He'll be there for the rest of the season this year because it looks like if Medicine Hat wins tonight and they win Friday, they are the WHL champions. And that means Crystal can join. I don't think he'll join the Bears until they come back home for Thursday. I think is their next game. Is their home game, or Tuesday or Wednesday is their home game. They have Wednesday, Thursday, and potentially Game 5 on Saturday. And we'll get into Hershey in a little bit because, like I said, there's a lot of guys on Hershey that are more likely going to be on the roster next year. And one of them is I'm very excited to he'll finally be his little graduation, and he'll be with the team full time next year. And you know who I'm talking about. And I'm excited for him. There's another guy also on Hershey that I'm very excited for. But here, I forgot Caden Lindstrom is also on Medicine Hat. He is Columbus's first pick this year or last year. So, but Gavin McKenna is he's carrying the load. He is arguably the best. Like this year, there was talks that maybe Schaefer Hagens could go. Next year, there's no talks. Gavin McKenna is number one, and it's not even close. It doesn't even look like he played. He might have not even played. No, he didn't. He's hurt. Oh shit.
McKenna?
Yeah, did he get hurt? It doesn't say. It doesn't show his name on here. Do you see it? I don't see his name. He might have gotten hurt. Which we got to talk about coaches in a little bit because the two new coaches were hired. One of them you predicted again. Yeah, he hurt. He missed with the undisclosed injury. Okay. It doesn't change the fact that he is going first overall next year, and it's probably going to be to Pittsburgh. The writing is on the wall. The Penguins are going to be worse next year, and they're going to end up getting Gavin McKenna because fuck the Capitals, right? The universe hates us. Might as well just give him another fucking superstar like talent, just like they got Crosby. But next year, I'm looking forward to next year, Gil. We're going to have a lot of question marks going in next year. Like, who's going to be our third line center? Can Dubois, can Chychrun replicate what they did this year? I don't think they will. I think they're going to have down seasons next year. Can Protas replicate what he did? I don't think he will. Wilson, I think, can, because Wilson's still in his prime. But the guy I'm looking forward to the most, and which I think deserves more ice time going into the rest, if we're going to lose in the next 2 games, just give him as much ice time as you want. It's the kid. I want to see Leonard. He will slowly get more ice time next year. He'll probably start with the third line next year, but I think by the end of the season next year, he will be on that top line. He will be the center focus once Ovi retires. He will be the guy to build the team around, and rightfully so, because he is our top prospect. Even though he hasn't produced, but like I said, and we said multiple times, look who the fuck he's playing with. He's not playing with excellent players. And the time that he did play with excellent players, he looked amazing. He got chance after chance after chance. He's a young kid. He's still learning the game. I would love for him to play in Hershey, but he can't play in the Hershey because he's not eligible. I would have loved to send him down to play the rest of the playoffs with Hershey, but he's not eligible because he would do wonders for Hershey. Hershey could use him, but Hershey's gonna get another one of our top prospects in Andrew Crystal, and they will be fine. Gil, who is the most you are most looking forward to seeing next season if tomorrow is the season?
Leonard for sure. Um, that's going to be the big thing. If he can grow enough, I don't know that he ends up being the top line winger to eventually replace Ovi that year,
I don't think he'll replace Ovi. I have a
but
feeling. I have a
they
feeling. Oh, go on, go.
they need somebody. They need somebody who is a top line center who is an actual finisher. They will need that in 2 years.
I think.
Um, Leonard won't be that guy next year. He can be that guy going forward after that. I don't know that next year is going to be such a down year. I can see them making the playoffs, but it may be more like they finish second or third, or maybe even slip to a wild card spot next year. Um, yeah, unless they get somebody in a free agent or trade deal, he's it. He's the bright spot. Um,
Well,
I think everybody else is gonna take a small step back, but I don't think it's gonna be all that bad.
I will point out, outside of Leonard, probably the arrival of Cole Hudson is going to be a big focal point for.
Eh, I don't see him cracking the roster this year, even late, like Leonard did. I don't see him doing that.
If we are deep in a playoff race, I agree with you. But if we're not in the playoffs, he will more likely play. But
It
if
if they really tank, yeah, they might say what the hell and say F it and bring him up, but no, I just can't see it.
but again, you said the same thing about Leonard, and Leonard cracked the lineup, which caught us both on surprise. Like I thought he would play a few games and then sit. No, he legit played. He's been playing like some serious minutes, not top line minutes, but some serious minutes come playoff time. And
which which unfortunately shows how sad a state the bottom six forwards are
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
he should not be playing like. And I love that Spencer's doing it and he's moving him in the bottom six. But Leonard is not going to produce when you got fucking Eller and Majapani as his line mates. You
Fucking stonehanders.
and I was telling my the guy I'm going to the game tomorrow. Not Cheryl. Cheryl will be at the track meet. C4 can't join us tonight. But my at my work we have this guy in loss prevention named Sean. He's going to the game. So, but I was talking to him yesterday. I'm like, it's just Leonard. It's like people say, well, Leonard's not producing. He's overhyped. Blah blah. No, he's playing with Lars Eller and Andrew Majapani, and he's a rookie. What the hell do you expect him to do? And it's like
I saw some idiot post a tweet that Demidov still has more points than Leonard. Whoopie fucking do.
Demidov is playing with Slavkovsky and Caulfield. What the fuck did you
Exactly.
expect him? He's gonna have points. Like, dude, put Leonard with McMichael and Dubois. They will fucking produce. Fuck. I've been screaming that from fucking the start to finish. Leonard should be with McMichael and Dubois, not fucking Eller and Majapani. I feel like Protus, well, Ovi, Eller, Majapani seems like a better deal the way Ovi's playing. I think Protus needs to be on that top line with Strom and Wilson. They will really produce. It's like Ovi needs to be on that third line because they need someone to score, and Ovi's still going to score. He's just not scoring at the rate you want him to be. And it's just Leonard needs to be on that play with the McMichael. He needs another playmaker. He will feed off the playmaker, which is why I'm going to bring up to the fact that I don't think Leonard's going to be this pure goal scorer. He's going to be a guy that's going to put up points. He's just not going to score goals. He's going to be a clutch guy. He's going to score when we need him to score, but he's more likely going to have more assists at the end of the season than goals. And it's showing in that first series with Montreal. If you look at the stats, the high danger chances, especially the assist chances, Leonard was third on the list. And if you look at high danger chances, Eller was second on the list at high danger chances, and he couldn't finish. So you're going to tell me Leonard's overhyped and he can't fucking produce, but when you have Eller as your second best chance ability as fucking the forwards, you're telling me Leonard's not fucking going to do it? Fuck out of here, dude. You get someone that can fucking finish. Leonard has probably at least 6 points already in the playoffs. Like, Yes, don't get me wrong. He should have scored that breakaway. If he scores that breakaway, we're probably talking about a different story in this series. We're probably up. The series is probably tied 2-2. But it's just, I'm sick and tired of people whining that he's not producing. He is playing on the third line minutes. He's only played 12, at most 12 games in the NHL. He's coming over from college. He wasn't gonna light the fire. He's not the first overall pick. He's gonna take some time to grow, man. Next year, if he does this next year, that's when we get a little concerned. But I just don't think he will. He's going to have all offseason to bulk up. They're going to play him a lot more next year. He's going to have a full preseason to warm up. He's going to be awesome next year. He's not eligible for, I don't think he's eligible for Rookie of the Year, but I would have him arguably.
He is. He is.
I would have him one of the top 3 finalists next year. That's how good I think Leonard's going to be next year. He is going to have a full offseason to work with this team. And I'm going to bring up football. The same goes for my other team, Atlanta. Michael Penix had 3 games with the team and say, oh, he's going to be bad. No, he's got a full offseason now with the team, so he's probably going to rack this year. That's why ESPN has him as one of the five most likely breakout seasons for the players for next year's NFL. And the same thing goes for Leonard. I think he has a breakout year next year. I think he's going to score. He could score 50 points next year if they do it right. They keep him on the third line and they get him someone. At this point, they're not going to be playing Game 5, which I'm fine with because Hershey needs them more, which is why I think. But I can't wait for this kid to come up because I think Miro is finally ready for the NHL. This is his. I guarantee this is his last playoffs with Hershey. After that, he will be in DC for the remainder until either he walks in free agency or he retires a Capital. Miro is more likely the guy that they are hoping to be Ovechkin, and I think Miro has the potential to be. I just don't think he'll be top line. I think Andrew Crystal will be the guy that plays in the top line. It's going to be Crystal, whoever we draft this year at center, and Leonard for the future of the top line. And it's just, Miro will be on the second line. It'll be Miro, probably Dubois, maybe Strome, with Parasek. And you got to also remember, we have Parasek too in the waiting. Parasek he had a tremendous year. It was just overshadowed by Andrew Crystal. Crystal's had such an amazing WHL year that it's just going to be overshadowed. But there's a lot of prospects coming up, but the guy I'm most excited for outside of Leonard is Chesley. The guy has such a high hockey IQ. People are like, well, he was drafted as a two-way defenseman. He can't score now. We don't need him to score. We don't need him to score. Gil, what is the one thing we lack that every championship team has on the blue line?
A shutdown guy.
Thank you. And what is the biggest pro that they talk about Chesley?
That's his wheelhouse. That's what he does. Shut down offensive chances.
Thank you. That's what we absolutely need. I will trade that over John Carlson in a fucking heartbeat.
Hell yeah.
How did we win? What happened? Who do we have on the blue line that helped us win the Stanley Cup that was a shutdown defenseman that we got from Chicago?
Michael Kempney.
Thank you. And was he not a good pairing with John Carlson?
He was.
That's my point. Chesley is the future on the right side. He will be our number one defenseman on the right side. The left side will be either Hudson or Chychrun. I don't care. I feel feeling Hudson and Chesley are going to be a pairing for the future. That is going to be their top pairing, Hudson and Chesley. There's another guy they're going to probably sneak into the lineup that could potentially replace Faravari, and that's Leon Mukli. This kid is big. He has potential to be a top 6 defenseman. We will see. But there's so many guys on this roster, and we haven't even mentioned Ilya Protas. The future's bright for Washington. Win or lose tonight, or tomorrow night, not tonight. Win or lose tomorrow night. The future's bright for the Capitals. I just don't think. I have to wait and see if this team that they can build a cup winning team. I've seen us do this multiple times in the past. Especially during the Ovi year, we've got good teams, we've had some bad teams, and then we just won the cup one year because Ovi was sick and tired of losing. Ovi was sick and tired of being second fiddle to Crosby, and he said, we're not going to fucking suck this year, and we didn't fucking suck this year. When Ovi came out and scored that hat trick to start the season, you knew this was going to be a special year. And, like I said, Gil, as I eat my chicken wing. Uh, just be happy we won a cup in 2018. Just be happy. Like there's teams out there. We could be like Buffalo, who hasn't made the playoffs in almost 15 years. Just be happy. All right, Gil. Do you want to get into the Bears' impressive Game 5 win? Or
I didn't get to catch that, so I'll follow your lead on that one.
okay, so Hershey won Game 4, 6-4. Uh, they won the game before we recorded, I believe, that Friday. Uh, Here they would turn around and win Game 5. I did say I think the Capitals, but that was before I didn't realize Leonard wasn't eligible. I would have sent Leonard down. Give him some time to play in Hershey, play some meaningful hockey, a team that could potentially go all the way again, compared to the Capitals, who would look like they're fucking done against Carolina. Uh, which sucks because I still think we're the better team. I still think we're better than Carolina. We just couldn't get to our game. Uh, if this Capitals team, if Carolina played the Capital team back in February, they would have lost in 5. It would be us up 3-1. Because they just felt like after Ovi, like once Ovi got close to the record, the team just hasn't played well. Even in the Montreal series, like all 5 games, Montreal kept it close, and it just they outplayed us in all 5 games in the third period. Like the Caps sat back. But anyways, so Hershey would win 6-4 game 4, force a Game 5, and then Game 5 they played probably arguably their best game. Shepard looked awesome. I can't show the highlights. Radio, no. There's a picture of the future Washington Capitals radio broadcaster, and what's the fuck is his name? Fish. It's Fish something. Zach Fish.
Zach Fish.
Zach Fish. He is arguably he's gonna be a future. I think John Walton's gonna be the next Capitals on TV broadcaster, because that's why they had him take over for Joe Benetti when Joe Benetti had to take time off because of sickness. And then Zach Fish, he felt right in when he did the radio calls for the Capitals late in the season. The Bears would win 4-2 in this game. It was a hell of a win. Now they have the former Carolina Hurricanes AHL team, the current Florida Panthers AHL team, the Charlotte Checkers. It's a rematch of 2 years ago, where the Bears absolutely embarrassed them. This will be a tougher series, but ultimately, Gil, I think the Bears will win. I have a feeling they're going to lose in the third round, because there's a certain team that has a certain amount of Montreal Canadiens prospects on their team. But Gil, are you surprised that the Bears are able to come back and win the series?
This is going to sound stupid, but yes and no. I thought maybe they'd be a little burnt out, and that might have shown in the first couple games with that series, but they still got a lot of guys who can get it done.
The thing about Hershey is that they have championship material, like championship pedigree, that they know how to win big games. And this was arguably Riley Sutter's best game. He had 2 good goals, a power play. I believe he had a power play goal and a shorthanded goal. But or maybe a shorthanded goal and a regular goal. He had his best game. And again, I point out Ryan Chesley did not play this, but I don't expect him to play right now when you have Chase Prisky and all those guys playing top pair minutes. But I will say right now, if the Capitals don't want to go out and get a third line center, Lapierre is still there. You can give him another shot. I feel more confident since it's starting to look like he's getting his game back. I don't know what happened last offseason He was so good in the playoffs for the Bears, and he was so good for us in the playoffs. I just don't know what happened in that summer that ruined his confidence. But it looks like he's finally got it back. So hopefully that can turn into something. Because like I said, McMichael struggled, Protis struggled, so and Lapierre struggled, and hopefully Lapierre can take it to another level next year. And like you said, it's basically his last shot.
Well, I was just about to ask you that. If assuming they do give him another chance and call him up and put him in that role, is that his last shot?
I think it's his last shot. He will be 24. I think 24 next year. Uh, but like I said, I think he's gonna be the one of the surprise next year. He will be a guy that's gonna produce. Uh, he will be 24 next year. Yep. Uh, Tell me why I looked up Hendrix Lapierre and there's a picture of Mike Scarbosa.
Wow, Google is not having a good day.
But anyways, I do think Lapierre. So if we're talking about guys that could have potentially really good year, like surprise years and surprise us next year, Miro is one because I think Miro is finally ready. I think the last few times we called up Miroshnichenko, he just doesn't look like he's ready. I think this time around he's ready. He's bulked up. He looks like he is complete. He's dominating the AHL. Let's not like act like he is not like noticeable on the ice. Like it would be like, oh, he's struggling in the AHL, so he's like, that's probably why he's struggling. No, he's dominating the AHL. So I think this will be his last time, like last run in the playoffs in the AHL. He will graduate and he will be on the third line. 100% will be the third line. That's why Majapani is gone. Miro's coming up. You have Miro on that third line, and Miro and Leonard could cook. Miro is going to finish the chances Leonard gives him. That's. But like I said, I would, if you really want to go balls to the wall, call him up. But like I said, Hershey needs him more, and I just don't think they'll be effective in this series because like at this point it's over. Like if the Capitals come back and win in 7, so be it. It'll be awesome. It'll be amazing run, and it could very well lead to like runs like coming back down 3-1. Tend to the team that usually does that tend to use that momentum and win the following series, but then they end up losing the series after that. Would I rather have the Capitals lose in 5 or lose in 6 or win come back 3-1? Hell yeah. But if it ends up them heartbreaking in game set or heartbreaking in the Stanley Cup final and they end up finding a way to beat Toronto or Florida, no, it'll suck more that we lost in the final than we lost in the second round. It means we would have gotten this close to winning another cup and we failed again. I'd rather lose in the second round to a very good Carolina team than lose to fucking a weaker team in the Stanley Cup final. Because really, honestly, Carolina and Washington, in my opinion, if this goes 7 and the Capitals come back and they win, that'll feel like the Stanley Cup final to me. Because that's way too much momentum for a team that was completely looks down and out in this series, and they turn around and win the next 3 games. They show heart. And like this, that you know what this will remind me of? The New York Rangers in 2014. Remember that series, Gil?
Yeah.
When they lost their moms, Martin St. Louis lost his mom. I think Dominic Moore lost his wife. And they came back on Mother's Day and they won the series in 7. And then they used that momentum to beat the Montreal Canadiens, who are a very good Canadiens team. I mean, they swept Tampa Bay in the first round and they took Boston, the President's Trophy winners, to 7. Which I also think affected Montreal because they looked banged up in that series. But it just, I feel like they're more needed here in Hershey, because if Hershey there's still a chance to win a third straight cup, and I think they benefit more of being on Hershey. They're going to get top line minutes, and I think throwing them into the fire could be a mistake. But I mean, it could also light a fire. But I just don't think Spencer's willing to risk it, and I wouldn't risk it either. But they did the right thing. He benched Eller. Far too late, though. I would have benched his ass after game 1. Honestly, if I was the head coach, Eller's not seeing the rest of the ice. Because and no offense, I love Radish, and I thought he hasn't looked too bad. But I think benching Leonard for Radish wasn't a bad choice. But I think you should have benched Eller. for Radish, like you did here. You keep Leonard in the lineup, you move McMichael down, or you move McMichael up, and I still think Ovi should be on the third line. You put freaking I would do Protas. I would put Protas, Ovechkin, uh, Majapani on the line, and then you have McMichael, Dubois, and Leonard, and I would move Bolivier back up to the top line, which they kind of done. Uh, but Gil, what are your predictions for the Charlotte game Friday night?
Um, I think the Bears have a good shot of winning. Same time, I don't think. I think the first round might have took a little bit out of them. That might take a game to get them in it. So I won't be surprised if they lose as well. But if they do lose, it'll be like 3-2 or something like that.
Yeah. Charlotte's a lot better. Just like how the Phantoms are better than they were last year. Charlotte is 100 times better than they were in 2023 when the Bears beat them in 4 games. Um, the only difference is I think by the end of the series, the Bears could potentially have Andrew Crystal, which that new speed could help them in the lineup, and that new energy could push them towards the next round, which I do think ultimately the Bears will win this series in 4. I think I agree with you. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose game 1, but I think they turn around and win game 2, win game 3 at home, and win game 4 at home, and they move on. The Checkers are a good team. I just think the Bears are still the best team in the division. And that's when we get to the next round is a team I think knocks them out, and that is the Latvia Rockets. Jacob Fowler is playing out of his mind right now for the Rockets, and it's the Habs' chance to get back at us for beating them in the playoffs. Their AHL team knocks out Hershey. But, Gil, let's talk about some head coaching. Gil. Gil, we have 2 new hires. One of them good, one of them okay. Gil, you want to talk about the good one first? You want to talk about the one okay? Okay.
Either or.
Well, let's talk about the one you predicted.
All right.
Which is the okay hire. It was okay. I love Rick Tocchet. I think he's a great coach. And I think he fits well in Philadelphia. I just think the other hiring is a way better hiring. Especially in the situation. It was probably the best hire they could have made. Instead of overreacting and going to get another coach that they're trying to turn around right away. We'll get into him in a minute. But the Rick Tocchet is officially signed with the Philadelphia Flyers. Another coach is off the board. He joins Joe Quenneville, Mike Sullivan, and who's the other one? Who's the other one just got hired? No, I think that's it.
That might be it.
It's a good hire. It's a good hire for Philadelphia because he fits there. He's always wanted to coach there. I'm not shocked that he's going there. The only 2 teams I thought Rick Tocchet could go to were Chicago and Philadelphia. Maybe New York if Mike Sullivan didn't go there. I feel like it's a good fit for them because Philadelphia is in kind of a limbo. Like, they're rebuilding, but they also could, snap of a finger, they could be very good in a couple of years. They have so many good guys coming up. I mean, Evan Lee from the Phantoms taking it to 5 games to the Bears. We'll see how this goes. I think Michkov will benefit the most from this hiring. And he might have a monster year next year for Philadelphia because he had a really good rookie year. And if you noticed, after John Tortorella got fired, Michkov exploded. He started scoring. He started getting more points. So there's a reason why Michkov was arguably the second best player in the draft. And the fact that the only reason why he fell to Philadelphia was because of his contract being 4 years. No one expected him to instantly break out of that contract. But let's talk about the other hire, Gil. The one I think is the more important hire for this franchise. A longtime Avalanche, former captain, the second ever captain of the Avalanche behind Joe Sakic, and in front of Milan Hiduk. as their third captain, who would eventually give it over to the current captain, Gabriel Landeskog. Uh, Adam Foote is the new coach of the Vancouver Canucks, Gil. I think this was a smart hire. He coached with Rick Tocchet, so he has a similar like system. He is a people coach. He is a player coach. He is a damn good coach. He used to coach the Kelowna Rockets. Uh, I believe that was Andrew Crystal's team. So I think he actually coached Andrew Crystal, if I'm correct. Um, so we know, and he was not on my board, but I look at this signing and I'm like, well, hell, you know what? That's actually pretty smart. Like, you go for a young guy. You get a guy that could get you through the storm. I see two ways this going, Gil. They either turn around and bounce back, and they're able to keep Pedersen and Hughes, or Hughes walks and they struggle a little bit. But I still think Adam Foote will have them competing. He is a damn good coach. He's a like I said, he's a player coach, and that's exactly what Vancouver needs right now. Because upper management and the organization is such a dog shit. It hasn't been good since the Sandines retired. Let's be real. Gil, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't know if I like it so much. I'm going to disagree. And I'll qualify this by saying I don't know Adam Foote's history as well as you do, but I never ever like it when, for whatever reason, you have a coaching change, and what you end up doing is you hire the guy that was the assistant on the
Yeah.
same team. That never ends well. Never, ever, ever ends well for that team. And I don't think this will end well either. If I were Adam Foote, I would have gone out, I would have interviewed anywhere else but that organization. And he probably could have gotten hired. But
You
the
know,
the the management's against him, and the fact that he was already the assistant there is against him. And I think that's I don't know. This team's going to go backwards in a hurry.
I agree. Like I said, there's two options. There's two options. Either they have the organization gets their heads out of their asses, or this franchise is heading towards Buffalo bad. Uh, so he coached from uh, he coached from 2018 to 2020. Which means I think he coached Andrew Crystal in his rookie year with the Rockets. Um, I could be wrong.
When was he in? Well, when was he in Kelowna?
2019 to 2020. Nope. Yeah, no.
No.
No. Actually, yes. Yes. He played 2020 to 21. He played like 14 games for them, so he did play a little bit under Adam Foote. Uh, the question is, did he play that one at the beginning of the season, or did he play at the end? I think he played towards the end, so I don't think he was part of the team, so maybe not. But still, Adam Foote, I feel like Adam Foote was another option for Colorado because of the Colorado history. Uh, I still think it's a good hire. I still think it was the smart choice to hire a newer coach and not go after the big fish and have it turn back and backfire in your face. Um, but with that being said, uh, this is probably going to turn around and bite them in the face. The organization does not want to get their head out of their asses, and it's showing. But Gil, this means there's only 4 teams left without a head coach. Um, Actually, I think 3. You got Seattle, Chicago, and who else?
Who did Pittsburgh hire somebody
No,
already?
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is. But here's another suggestion. Todd Nelson was actually in the running for this job. Todd Nelson was in the running for the Vancouver job too. Uh, Crosby does not have any say, which kind of tells me the team is going towards a rebuild. Uh, I still think Chicago will probably be the one that waits out the most for Todd Nelson because they have the pace. They'll be the most patient because they know they're in a rebuild. Pittsburgh will not be patient. Well, Pittsburgh might be just as patient. Seattle will not be patient. Uh,
Mhm.
so the remaining teams are Boston, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Seattle. Boston will arguably be the least patient. I'll tell you right now, Boston will be the least patient. And like I said, John Tortorella. Uh, but I think Todd Nelson will either be in Pittsburgh or Chicago. Those are my predictions, Gil. That's all.
I think that sounds right.
But I honestly think he's more benefited in Chicago because the Blackhawks are set up better than Pittsburgh. Um, the Blackhawks actually have. Hold on. The Blackhawks actually have prospects that need developing. The Pittsburgh Penguins don't even have prospects. They have picks. So you still got to make those picks. Um, but we'll see. Another guy that's a guy that I'm afraid that we're going to lose this offseason. As you can see the article, Gil. Um, this is who I think ends up in Seattle, and I go to the grave to it. My fear, though, is he could end up in Pittsburgh. He'd be a hell of a hire for Pittsburgh to start their rebuild. It'll be a Spencer Carter-esque kind of hire. And that scares me, especially if they get Gavin McKenna next year, Gil. So I hope to God the Capitals deny the Penguins the chance to get Mitch Love. They beg and hand Mitch Love as much money as they can give. Ted Leonsis, if you're watching this, don't let Mitch Love go to fucking Pittsburgh. You hear me? Don't let him go to Pittsburgh. And Gil, you could honestly, let's be real. Mitch Love would be for any team would be a Spencer Carter kind of hire, especially the fact that he's part of his staff.
I'd be very surprised if he stays.
He's ready. He's ready to be an NHL head coach. Like he is ready. He transformed our defense from last year, and I told you this was going to happen. Slowly, the defense is going to start frustrating teams, and we were able to win 2-1, 3-2 games, and we were able to do that this year. And he's ready to be a head coach. Like he's ready to be an NHL head coach, and it just scares me that Pittsburgh could be a destination he goes. And it would be a hell of a hire for the Penguins. I think it would be the right step in the direction for Pittsburgh if they get Mitch Love as their head coach. I think that's probably their best scenario, their best outcome, hiring Mitch Love. Do I think it's going to happen? I hope not. I hope they got not. Because that would be our worst nightmare, that they get Mitch Love as their head coach, and then the very next year, they get Gavin McKenna as the first overall pick. And now they have a future All-Star in Gavin McKenna, a future franchise guy in Gavin McKenna, and a great NHL head coach, a potential great NHL head coach in Mitch Love. That would scare the hell out of me. But I hope to God, another team you could fit is Chicago. Chicago would be a hell of a pickup for him, but I still am going to take it to my grave that he's going to Seattle. Seattle is arguably probably waiting for us to get eliminated. Don't be shocked if we lose tomorrow. By Sunday, he's hired. Don't be shocked. But Gil, where do you think he's gonna go?
I think honestly, I think Seattle's a better fit for him.
Like they're more like it's a shit show, but they're more developed into winning. Like they like a better coach, a better system, they could turn it around and start winning.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh is in a rebuild mode, which is why the only reason why I brought up Pittsburgh is because it could be a Spencer Carberry like hire, where they don't expect much out of him the first 2 seasons. And he could, with all the picks that Pittsburgh has, they could turn it around quick. With like that. That's the only reason why I think Mitch Love would be a good fit in Pittsburgh. If they want to do the rebuild right, if they want to retool and rebuild right, Mitch Love would be their choice. But I think he's better off in Seattle because Seattle is in a better position to win now. Uh, Gil, let's transition to our next segment. Gil, what is your thoughts on 34 NHL teams? Well, too fucking bad. We're getting a third. We're getting a third and a 33rd and a 34th NHL team. News came out in Atlanta that the guy that's doing that 2.3 billion arena is going to meet with Gary Bettman and the board of directors. The board of directors after the Stanley Cup final to submit his proposal, and it's talks that by the Winter Olympics of next year, it'll be announced that Atlanta and Houston have been granted expansion teams. Gil, I would love for Atlanta to come back. I think Atlanta has so much potential. It would also could be an exit rival with the Capitals. I mean, the Thrashers and Capitals, when they played each other, they had some great moments. Ilya Kovalchuk versus Alex Ovechkin was awesome. Gil, are you indifferent about this?
I got to say I am. It's a cash grab for the owners. That's all it is. They don't need another team. The talent pool is already a little bit stretched. This is going to stretch it out even more. I don't know that it'll be bad for the game, but I don't see it being very good. Not from the get go.
I will say this, and I am doing a paper for my master's about this. There is pros and cons for the NHL expanding past 32, and I think it benefits them more than it affects them. Yes, it could stretch out the NHL the talent, but it could also grow the talent. You're putting it in markets where hockey can grow, and you're going to get in the future get more kids that want to play hockey and go into the NHL in the far future. Hockey is an ever growing sport that's getting popular and popular by the days and the minutes. I have a feeling the NHL will be a main focal point in the Winter Olympics going forward. That and the fact that Nigeria has gotten the ability to perform or be able to play in the World Juniors and the Olympics. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where I think we're going to need more than 32 teams in the league. I would love if the ultimate goal is to turn the Stanley Cup into a worldwide thing, and we just end up just moving out of the United States, not just in the United States. Right now, the goal is to expand in the United States, which is probably its weakest point. Hockey is not the most watched sport in the U.S. That is football, and it's not even close. It's dominated by football. There's a reason why 340 million people watch the Super Bowl every year, and it's not just for the commercials. But I do think this benefits the NHL more than it hurts. I think a team in Atlanta can work with the right ownership. I think Houston deserves a team. I don't think it'll be benefit if they expand after 34, though. If they're getting to the point where they're going 40, I think that's when it really will hurt because then you just have too many teams. I just think if you expand maybe 2 more teams and then call it and you end it there, I will be fine. But I have a feeling they're going past 34. They're going to potentially go to 36. I think Quebec's eventually going to get a team. I think Arizona is going to get it. Arizona is getting another team. Like the Phoenix Suns owner desperately wants them that the Coyotes come back, and he's probably going to pay for the Coyotes name and get it back from that god awful owner, Alex Morello, terrible fucking owner. So it just I know you're indifferent, and I can't. I'm not going to try to convince you to think this is a good thing. I just feel like this benefits the NHL more than it hurts it. Hockey, the game, the point of growing and expanding teams, it's to grow the game. Atlanta and Houston are the two biggest cities in the United States, and they don't have a fucking hockey team? Come on, man. You get teams in there, and especially if they're fucking successful, they don't have to be successful out of the gate. The reason why Atlanta failed the first two times was not because they weren't playing well. It's because the ownership did not give a shit to put a good team on the ice. They didn't care about the fans. They didn't give a fuck about the arena. The first shot that Time Warner had a chance to get rid of the Thrashers, they fucking did it. So this guy at least that's putting in the proposal, Gil, for the next potential Atlanta team looks like he knows what he's doing and he gives a fuck about the team. That's all that matters. You need the three things you need for a successful franchise in the NHL. A fan base that's willing to come. Atlanta has that. If you watch their ECHL team, the Atlanta Gladiators, every game they have Thrasher Night, sells out. An arena, check. Looks like they have arena getting ready to be built. And then a competent owner, check. They have a competent owner that wants to make it work. So I think Atlanta will be successful. The third time will be the charm. There will be 34 teams by 2030. I expect probably by the end of 2040 there will be 36 teams. I don't want them to expand past 34. I'm fine with them expanding to 34. I'm just not. I'm not. And I know what's going to happen. Probably by the time I'm dead, there's going to be 40 NHL teams in the league because they want to make money. It just when it gets to 40, that's when it becomes too much of a problem, and I think that's when it really thins the talent. I think right now there's so much talent. There's a lot of guys that have fallen to the second round that could go in the first round. I think would benefit there being a longer first round. I'm not going to complain because we got all three drafts. We got a potential first round pick in the second round the last 3 years in Chesley, Crystal, and Hudson. But Gil, the question is, what would be their name? Do you think they'd get the Thrashers back? Do you think the Jets would be willing to give them the name back?
Probably. I don't think they'd much care. Honestly, Jets have bigger problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the series they're in right now. They literally have bigger problems. They may not have to expand. That team may not be there much longer.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to move them out of Canada. If they do, that's how Quebec gets a team.
Probably.
That's how Quebec could get a team. Which makes me think that potentially the two West teams would be Houston and Arizona. I just don't think Atlanta. I think this proposal for Atlanta, they're going to get an expansion team. I don't think it's going to be relocation from Winnipeg. It makes no sense to relocate Winnipeg back to Atlanta. It makes more sense to expand and have a brand new expansion team. A new owner. Don't have a failing franchise. It would be an off to a negative start. It won't be brand new. It won't be a shiny new toy. It would be fucking a rebrand of a team coming back from being the old team. It would just feel like a failure, Gil. That's what it would feel like. It would feel like a failure. In the sense that you want Atlanta to succeed, and fan bases are like, oh, they're just a rehash of the old Atlanta team that failed. Then they couldn't hack it in Winnipeg, so they're back in Atlanta. No, you expand a brand new team. You get a fresh start. I think if Winnipeg does relocate, it's going to be Quebec. I do think that's how Batman's going to throw a ball and say, here, you guys wanted your team back? Have the Winnipeg Jets. And then Winnipeg's like, well, then what the fuck's our team? This is bullshit. Well, then you should have went out and gone to games.
Should have showed up.
So we will see. We'll continue to monitor this NHL potential expansions. Gil, that is about all the time we have left. I will upload this video on Friday. We'll see where we're at after Game 5. I might upload it tomorrow before I go to Game 5. It'll be interesting to see what we do tomorrow night. I don't think we're going to lose tomorrow night. I think we're going to force Game 6. But then again, I said that the last few times, and we have lost our last 4 series at home. So, our last 4 times we've lost in the playoffs, we've lost at home. So, we'll see what fucking happens. It'll be interesting. I do think we win, though. Gil, our final predictions for tomorrow night?
4-2 Caps.
5-2 Caps. Or 5-1 Caps. I think we have the best game. Anyways, thank you, Gil. I will see you next week. With episode, what the fuck are we on? 29? I don't even know what episode we're on. I think it's 29. 29, I think. Let me look it up. I think it's 29. It's got to be episode 29. It's whatever. 29. Probably 28. I think 28. 28. Episode 28. So 29 next week. So Gil, thank you. We will see. I will see you later. Talk to you later, my guy. Caps on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, Caps.
Go Caps.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely